Just like to check if you see, do you see my slides?
Ludan, you have to set it to
There.
just okay, there you go.
Okay. Again, thank you very much, man, for the introduction. And I'd like to welcome you all to our session this afternoon on When the Bell Rings, Extending Character Formation to the Home. And then there is a subtitle there, Turning Homes into Extensions of Your Classroom Culture. So if you look at the title, ladies and gentlemen, uh, the talk is very difficult to give considering that the audience, I think, no, there are also parents who are here. But for those who are teaching and at the same time who are also parents, you will benefit from this talk twice. Those who are just teaching and they're not parents yet, no, they are teachers. You will be able to benefit also because whatever it is that you get from this talk, you can talk to your parents about. Let me start, gentlemen and ladies, with a goal. Our goal for this afternoon session is just this, only one goal, that through this talk, we will be able to equip you, both teachers and parents, to collaborate intentionally in forming character so that school virtues are practiced, reinforced, and lived at home. Now, if you notice on that slide, I highlighted some words. The first two words that I highlighted are the words collaborate and intentional. Now let's start with collaborate. So our goal is for equip the teachers and the parents to collaborate, meaning to say this the formation of the child is not going to be possible if there is no collaboration between the home and the school. And there is no work that's happening between the parents and the teachers. So this means that the teachers and the parents have to work together. But then the working relationship has to be done intentionally. So that's the reason why I also highlighted the word intentionally, meaning it has to be done deliberately on purpose. Meaning the intent is what? Okay, so we have to collaborate intentionally, meaning to say the mother, the father, and the teachers have to work together and they only have one thing in mind. What is that? We have to help form the character of the child. In the case of the teacher, forming the character of the child, the student. In the case of the parents, forming the character of their children or their child. Okay? So for what purpose? Forming character so that school virtues, we need to say, what are being taught in school, the virtues, the good habits, are also practiced, reinforced, and lived at home. So, but how will you know what those virtues are that are supposed to be practiced, reinforced, and lived at home if there is no collaboration? That is the reason why I place there collaborate intentionally. Okay? Now, in the past talks, Mr. Rentoy and Dr. Grillo already mentioned about homeschool collaboration. Now, that is actually the key ingredient if you want the formation of the children to take place successfully, then there should be the home and school collaborating and working together deliberately. Okay. Now let me start with a very short story. A teacher asked his grade seven, his class of of 7-year-olds, "Who do you want to be when you grow up?" Okay? Who do you want to be when you grow up? We normally ask that question, di ba? Lagi natin sinasabi at the start of the year or in the middle of the year, sino ang gusto mong maging paglaki mo? Who do you want to be when you grow up? Now, there was this one boy who answered, "I want to be kind, like my mother. I want to be as smart like my teacher. and I want to be brave like my father. Now, that day, the teacher realized that children do not just become who we teach them to be, they become who they see every day. Okay, I will repeat that. That the teacher realized that children do not just become who we teach them to be, but they become who they see every day. Therefore, there is that big responsibility of forming the children also, okay, also that responsibility is on the shoulder of the teacher, because the teacher is seen by the students every day. Now, not just the teacher, but also the parents. The parents are seen by the students every day. For in the case of the teachers, only 5 days a week. But in the case of the parents, 7 days a week. Okay? So they become who they see every day. Now, let me continue with another very short story. Now, a teacher once asked her class, who are your heroes? This is a class of teenagers, maybe grade 7, grade 8. Who are your heroes? Now, this grade 7 boy raised his hand and said, my hero is my teacher because he teaches me how to read. My hero is also my dad because he never gives up. And then my mom is also a hero because she always prays for us even when she's tired. Amazing. Now, the answer could be very simple, but it actually reflects the child's inner world. What is the inner world of the child? The inner world of the child comes from the blending of the school and the home, where character is formed not in the textbooks, okay, not in the textbooks, but in the daily and ordinary moments. Okay? So you may be teaching them math, social studies, science, and I think Man mentioned this yesterday. Math, social studies, science. Are those not important? Of course, those are very important subjects. But more than the subject matter, we also teach our students because we relate to them daily and during ordinary moments that they see us do our responsibilities in school, that the parents are seen by their children go through their daily routines, they learn. And also, those situations shape the minds and form the minds of the students. Now look at the picture there, dear teachers. When the bell rings at 3 p.m. or at 4:30 or whatever, 12 o'clock for some schools, the classroom disappears, correct? Yeah, because the students run outside. Yeah, it's time to go home and everybody's happy, right? So when the bell rings at 3 p.m. or at 5 p.m., the classroom disappears. But does formation also disappear? Does formation also disappear? I don't think so. Formation does not end. When the bell rings, formation does not end. And what happens to formation? Well, it simply changes the address from Parep Southridge School, Hillsborough Subdivision, to Alabang Hills Village, Don Jesus Street, something like that. So it now continues at home. I will repeat, formation does not end. It simply changes address. It now continues at home. Why? Because the child moves to another venue. The child goes home. Therefore, if formation stops at home, then the child's formation is going to be compartmentalized. And the behavior of the child is also going to be negatively affected. Why? Because if in school these are the things that are demanded of me by the teachers, I am going to do things this way. I'm going to behave this way. But at home, since these things are not demanded of me, I'm not going to do this because anyway, nobody demands this from us. Okay? Or nobody demands this from me. Again, it now continues at home. So the true character does not start or stop at the gate. It thrives where school and home work together. You could just imagine, if whatever is learned in school are also the things that are reinforced, practiced, at home, then the formation of the child is whole. Okay? So let us answer this question. What happens to character formation when the bell rings? Again, what happens to character formation when the bell rings? Pag uwi ng bata, yay, tambak ang gamit. Yay, paghubad parang ahas. Remove the shirt and throw it there. Go to the computer, video games na tayo. Not studying the home, not doing the homework, not reading, but go to the television immediately or get the gadget and do Mobile Legend or Roblox or whatever. Therefore, okay, let us set the tone. Let us set the tone. We are all co-formators. We are co-formators of the parents because we are the teachers. And the teachers and the parents are co-formators of the teachers. So the parents and the teachers are not two separate fields. We are on the same team. Hindi tayo pwedeng mag-away. Okay? So we are on the same team. We should work together. Again, work together. Same team. Okay? So the key point here is this. If the home and school if the home does not agree with the school, or the school does not agree with the home, you have a confused child in the middle. And that child will say, sino ba susundin ko dito? I remember this television program that showed this. No? Sabi niya, when the child commits a mistake at home or commits a misbehavior at home, the parents blame the teacher. Yung bang tinuturo sa'yo sa school? Is that what they're teaching you in school? And then, when the child commits a misbehavior in school, the teacher will ask the child, yan bang tinuturo sa'yo sa bahay nyo? Is that what you're learning? And is that what your parents are teaching you at home? So now you have the home and the school blaming each other. Now, nakakaiyak yun, ha? Nakakaiyak because the boy will say, or the child will say, okay, so blame each other. You blame each other. Diba? So, we should work together. But to work together, the home has to trust the school. That's very important. You cannot work together. You cannot have a good relationship if there is no trust. Therefore, the school, the home should trust the school. The home should respect the school. The parents should respect the teachers. The teachers should respect the parents. And the parents should respect, the home should respect the school. Now, I'll give you some samples. Do not contradict the teacher or the school in front of your child. Now, what if there is something like a wrong thing that the teacher said, no? And then you would want to really say, mali yung teacher mo. There are some parents who say, mali ang teacher mo. Ano ba yung tinuturo sa'yo? Well, instead of saying that, my advice to you is, you go to the school, you clarify matters with the teacher, and you clarify matters with the principal. Talk to the principal, but don't say anything negative to your child. Because you could just imagine if you say, ang teacher mo talaga, ang bobo-bobo, hindi marunong magturo, ganyan. And then when the child goes to school and he sees that teacher and that teacher teaching, and that teacher teaches him, in the child's mind, he will say, bakit nagtuturo tong teacher na to? He doesn't even know how to teach. Now you destroyed you destroyed the image of the teacher. And you do not want that to be done to you too, right? The teachers are very, very, very careful not to put the parents down. Now, if you wouldn't want that done to you, don't do it to us, teachers. Diba? Now, do not put the teachers down. Teachers, do not also put the parents down. Now, let's go. Let's frame the need, okay? Let's start with a quotation. It takes a village, and you often hear this, no? It takes a village to raise a child, but it takes unity between school and home to form his heart. So what is common? The common thing that you always hear and what you always read about is it takes a village to raise a child. Oh, good. Of course, that's natural. The child is not a product of just one person or two people, but it takes unity between the home and school to form the heart. And that is important, that we form the heart. We form the heart. That's very important. The mind is important to be formed, but the heart is equally important. So the child's development and formation is a product of various experiences that he encounters daily from situations and from different people. What he sees in school, what he experiences in school, what he does in school, and also the same at home. Now, let me show you a data that was that I got from the book of Marvin Verkowitz, the prime mover of primed model for character education. The data show studies show that children whose values are consistently reinforced at home and school, meaning to say, walang compartmentalization. Whatever is demanded at home, the same things are demanded in school, and vice versa. They demonstrate stronger internalization of moral behavior. Now, why is that important? Moral behavior, stronger internalization. Meaning to say, the child, parang may, well, we call it unity of life. The child behaves the same way anywhere he goes. He does not pretend to be somebody else, or his behavior does not adjust depending on the place where he is. I'm in school, so I should behave. I'm at home, then it's okay. I'm not cheating in school, but I can cheat during playtime because anyway I'm not in school. I'm at home, or I'm in the playground, or I'm with my friends. Um, so what is important for teachers? What kind of culture do we build inside the classroom? In school, teachers model more than subjects. More than subjects, we model values. I remember when one of our teachers who passed away some years ago, but he was a very good teacher. When when he passed away, and many alumni of the school went to his wake, everyone who went to near the coffin, where everyone was saying some good things about the teacher, and everyone did not, and not a single person said something about the subject matter that he learned from the teacher. But what each and every alumnus, okay, what each alumnus said was, he was kind. He gave me this. He shared his sandwich with me. Oh, I remember when he talked to me because he felt that I was not doing very well in class, and so many things. So they will forget all our subject matters, but they will never forget how good you are as a person. Okay? So every routine that we reinforce helps form the heart of the teacher, of the child. Meaning to say, what is going on inside the classroom? Does your classroom show respect? Does your classroom does your classroom encourage everyone to be respectful? Do you, as a teacher, respect every child inside the classroom? Do you know how to relate well with your students? Or every time you enter the classroom, you the students feel like there is something that it's like World War III, diba? So respect. Do you respect them? Do you listen to them? Do you allow them to also say what they like? Now, do you have opportunities for the children to show responsibility? Do you make them accountable for their actions? Do you give them opportunities for them to be able to exercise and empower themselves so that they learn how to do things on their own? And then if they don't do it well, you don't save them, but you make them realize that you are responsible for it and you have to face the consequences of what you've done. Are there opportunities inside your classroom for the students to be honest and to practice integrity? Do you make the students also practice gratitude? Do they thank each other? Are they empathetic to each other? Now let me continue with the story. A former student of mine, I think Manrentoy knows who this is. A former student of mine was not a top performer academically, but he was honest. He was helpful. He was reliable. But he wasn't the top of the class. When he finished uh, fourth year high school in our school, he wasn't even among the top 10 students. But did he land in a good university? Yeah, okay. And then years later, you know what he became? He became a team leader. He became a leader of a company, and he was admired because of his fairness. Now that character, okay, planted young, okay, was able to grow consistently. Was able to grow consistently because inside the school, honesty, helpfulness, and being reliable and accountable and responsible, those traits were reinforced. And I would like to believe that also at home, the same things were demanded by the parents. Okay, now an anecdote. A principal once shared about a student who was caught lying. So the teacher called the parents. You know what the response of the parent? Of course, to tell the parents that, oh, your son cheated, ganyan, ano. So, you know what the parents' response was? Next time, be more careful so you don't get caught. Can you imagine that? Next time, be more careful so you don't get caught. So what was the result? The child learned to be more cunning and not more honest. Again, sino ang nag-ano? Tama ang tinuturo sa school, no? Cheating is not allowed. The school communicated it to the parents. But the parents do not share the same values that the school was reinforcing. And the effect on the child was that the child became a cheater. Di ba? The child became a cheater. Now, let's contrast it with another story. A boy cheats on a test. The teacher tells the mom. The next day, the mom brings her son back to school and makes him apologize in person to the teacher. And the mom says, I'd rather that you fail honestly than succeed by cheating. Now, what is the message there? The disconnect or the alignment between the school and the home is what strengthens or weakens character formation. So may I ask you this question? Do our homes echo the values of the classroom? Again, do our homes echo the values of the classroom? Now, the child's small act is a seed of character. Whatever it is or that he does, it's a seed of character. It did not just come from a rule, it came from a culture of formation. But what happens when the boy gets home? Is the same character nurtured or neutralized? Now look at the two pictures there. The seedling the seedling that's being watered and the one that's already wilted. Okay? So, entonces, character is what we do when no one is watching. Now, that is what we would like to achieve, that that our student will continue to do what is good even if nobody is watching. Now, that's very difficult to do. That's very difficult to do. I know it's very difficult to do. That's why we're having this talk. Diba? But the thing is that it's doable. Even if it's difficult to do, it's still doable. Okay? So what happens now? When the bell rings, kinakabahan na si teacher. Why? Because there is the risk of disconnection. Again, there is that risk of disconnection. Pagdating nga sa bahay, gagawin kaya ng estudyante ko to? Ginagawa kaya ng parents to? Pina-follow up kaya siya sa bahay? Binibigyan kaya siya nito? Etc. etc. So say, children don't live in two worlds. So please, okay? They don't live in two worlds, but when school and home say different things, they end up living in confusion. they end up living in confusion. Okay, now I will pause here for 10 seconds, okay, to allow me to also tell you that the next set of slides that I'm going to present are going to be framed using the primed model of Marvin Berkowitz. Okay, I am not going to go through the discussion of the primed model because Man had already given, I think, 2 sessions on that during the first few sessions. But just to review, the next slides are framed using the primed model. It's an acronym. P stands for prioritization. R stands for relationship. I stands for intrinsic motivation. Stands for modeling. E stands for empowerment. And D stands for developmental pedagogy. Now, siyempre mahirap yan, especially if this is the first time you've encountered that. But what I did was to simplify it by defining what each one actually means. And it's here. Okay? Prioritization. Character is central, not secondary. My question is, in your school, or in your house, or in the homes of your parents, in the homes of the parents, in the homes of your children's parents, okay? Is character central and not secondary? Do they value more the academics more than character? Do they value gadgets more or entertainment more than values or virtues? Ano yung priority nyo sa school? Ikaw, bilang teacher, what is your priority inside your classroom? Ask yourself that question. Now, we go to the letter R. Letter R, relationship. Strong, caring relationships are the foundation. Now, this is very, very logical. This is very logical. Why? Because in school and at home, we form relationships. What are the relationships in school? Student to student, student and teacher, 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 officer, students with the auxiliary personnel, the janitor with the guards with the canteen sellers. So the whole ecosystem inside the school is filled with different relationships. But if the child does not see strong and caring relationships, then the foundation is going to be shaky. Now let's go to the home. It's a relationship between the mother and the father and the son and the daughter, the parents and the children. Well, not only that, the house help and the mother, the house help and the father, the driver and the son, diba? So relationships are very important. If priority is character, then let's look at the relationship. How do they relate to each other? How do they relate with each other? Now let's go to letter I, intrinsic motivation. We inspire, not manipulate behavior. Okay, when I say intrinsic motivation, our goal and the goal of this session and all the other sessions that we had before and the ones that we're still going to be giving is that we want the child to be motivated not because he's going to get a reward, not because there is a star that's going to be given to him, not because there is a certificate, but the reason why he wants to continue to be good and the reason why he wants to do good is because doing good is good. And that's it. It's good to do good. So it's not about the star. It's not about the sticker. It's not about the how do you call this? The stamp. It's not about the medal at the end of the school year. It's about who the child is becoming. Again, my favorite dictum is who the child is becoming is more important than what he is achieving. Yeah, he may have all of those medals, but if he's a crazy fellow, he may have all those medals, but if he became, if he loses his character, if he loses his values, then walang kwenta yung mga medals na yan. Okay? The ideal is to have both, right? Now let's go to letter M, modeling. Adults must embody the virtues we teach. Okay, now, because the relationships are there, therefore, when people relate to each other, naturally, we will be able to see some good and bad habits, some good and bad actions. Now, in the school, all the adults, sana consistently, the adults must embody the virtues that we teach. For example, if we tell the students, these are for teachers, if the teacher says, hey, clean your area, and then we go to the teacher's area, and then the papers are scattered, the teacher does not even know how to like pile things together and put everything in order, and then what's going to happen? The child will see, I she demands it from us, but she does not even know, she cannot even do it herself. Now that's wrong modeling. The other thing in at home, for example, is when the parents say, you stop using your gadget now, it's time to go to bed. And then the mom is on the cell phone watching Netflix. Hey, so what kind of modeling, what kind of example are we giving our children? Now let's go to letter E, empowerment. Kids must be given voice and ownership. Meaning to say, this aligns with that sense of responsibility that I was talking to you about. The children cannot be dictated upon all the time. They have to be given the opportunity to grow. And the way for them to be able to grow is to allow them also to commit mistakes or to give them responsibilities and coach them. That is, and involve them. For example, if there are some rules that have to be done, that have to be formed for the classroom, the teacher cannot just say these are the rules because I got this, I used this from last year. No, if especially if the students are in high school, sit down with them and then let's say, I want to consider what you think are the rules that we should follow. How do we treat each other? How do you want me to treat you? How do you want, and this is how I want myself to be treated by you. Next one, developmental pedagogy, meaning to say we form them according to age and maturity. Meaning to say that so pedagogy is the strategy that we're going to be using. For little kids, there is a way to be able to develop, to be able to teach values and virtues. For those who are teenagers, there are also ways of doing that. So you cannot you cannot form them the same way. You cannot form them the same way. So these aren't just good ideas for schools. They're even more powerful at home, actually. Okay, so Marvin Berkowitz's primed model combines research and illustrated with solid examples, the common sense to illustrate and inform educators, us, on how we can develop schools that promote excellence for all of our stakeholders. Okay, now I will, it's already 3:33. I will now go to some practical applications for home and school. But I will use the prime model. Meaning to say I'll go through PRIMED as I discuss practical applications for home and school. Let me begin with the first one. Prioritization. The quote there says, what we give time and energy to is what our children will believe matters most. That's it. Okay? Meaning to say, okay, what are our priorities in school? What are our priorities at home? And our children have watchful eyes, and they know that if your priority is education, if they know that your priority is value formation, or your priority is traveling, or having a good time, or being with your friends, etc. Okay. Now, in the same manner, for the teachers, the students will know what your priorities are. For example, you give exams and you don't give back the test papers. Your priority is not learning. Your priority is not giving feedback. Okay. So prioritization, my suggestions are the following. Two, for the family, have what we call family formation night. So what we can give time and energy to is what our children will believe matters most. So, I know one family who sets a weekly family formation night every Sunday evening. The family gathers together for 15 minutes to discuss, because it's a Sunday. What do you think do they discuss? The gospel. So they discussed the gospel that Sunday. So they went to mass. After mass, they had breakfast, and then they went home. And then after dinner during the get together, the father started talking about or sharing what his inputs were about the gospel, and then the children also did that. Now, if that is done consistently on a weekly basis, the children will see. One of the many priorities of our family is love for God and understanding the gospel. Okay? So, one night, the father shared how he had to humble himself at work, and the kids were amazed. Okay? So, therefore, the children will say, my dad values hard work because that is what he shares. In school, we can have what we call virtue spotlight. In our school, we have what we call VOM, Virtue of the Month. There is a virtue that's given focus on a monthly basis. Example, honesty, sincerity, kindness, charity, etc. And the teacher discusses this by way of giving what we call class motto. Class motto. Class motto is like a practical application of the virtue. For example, if the virtue is on the virtue of order, the class motto could be, I will return school materials to where I got them. Okay? I will return materials that I borrowed. And that actually talks about order. Another one, uh, I will wash my hands for cleanliness. I will wash my hands before I eat. Okay? So a grade 4 teacher starts each week with a virtue spotlight or VOL, and then shares a life story of someone living it out. Example, if you want to have, if you want the students to learn about the virtue of charity, maybe a good example there is the story of maybe Mother Teresa. Or if you want to talk about he being kind, then you can actually get a Bible story and talk about the life of our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so what you can also do is to post the virtue of the month on the refrigerator of your house, and you put there virtue of the month, order or charity. Then you can write affirmations tied to that virtue in the lunch boxes or notebooks of your children. If you're I did that when my daughter was still in the primary school. Bawat sandwich niya, nilalagyan ko ng note na, be good today, or God loves you so much, etc., etc. And of course, right now, I don't do that anymore. She's already 18 years old. But then she remembers, she remembers, and then she understands why I was doing that, uh, why I was doing it during that time. Let's now go to the letter R, relationships. So PR, prioritization, then relationship. Let's do the quotation. Rules without relationships lead to rebellion. Rules without relationship lead to rebellion. Children listen best when they feel loved. So therefore, before you can even impose discipline, before you can even impose a sanction or disciplinary action, dapat may relationship ka muna sa bata, di ba? That is why ako, this is my personal, but personally, I don't believe on having a prefect of discipline. This is my own thing, because the prefect of discipline is unknown to the child. And therefore, if the prefect of discipline talks to the child, The prefect of discipline does not know the child doesn't know the prefect of discipline, there's no relationship. So what will the prefect of discipline do? This is your offense, this is the consequence, according to the rule book. And that is sad. And that is sad. Okay? So children listen best when they feel loved. So what is important? Establish good relationship first. Maybe if there is a good relationship, there is actually no need for any sanction, because maybe maybe the child will think twice, because I love this fellow, I don't want to hurt him, I'm not going to do anything negative. The motivation may not be intrinsic, but for the sake of another. But that is the start, and that is very important. Then I am going to tell you a story about a mom who noticed that her son was being withdrawn. So instead of scolding the son, she scheduled a 10-minute talk before bedtime. So she told her son, "Can we talk for 10 minutes? Mom, I'm already so sleepy. But 10 minutes. I just would like to ask something." Then within a week, the son opened up again. Within a week. So she did not succeed on the first week, but she succeeded after on the first day. She succeeded after a week. And so her son opened up about bullying at school. Imagine, the boy was being bullied, that's why he was being withdrawn. But if the mom did not care, okay lang yan, wala namang, cannot be. So at home, you have to build one-on-one moments with each child. If you have 6 children, do that. Now, inside the classroom, you can do that as class advisor. You don't need to spend 15 minutes for each one. Just be there during break time and watch them. Watch them. Listen to their conversations. You can also ask maybe a piece of sandwich if you want. Okay? Or you can actually say, "Oh, sino ba may extra ditong sandwich?" I'm very sure maraming magbibigay sa'yo. But build one-on-one moments with each child using emotion coaching. So, "Oh, I'll see you're angry. Oh, let's talk about it." Oh, you can actually say, "Hey guys, when you're having your break, I'm just here. For anybody who would like to talk to me about anything, I'm just here." Just for them to see that you're there and you're available to talk to them. Oh, that's already something big. Then, some tips for the teacher: greet the students individually. Because a simple, "How are you today, Marco? How are you today, uh, Jeannie? How are you doing?" Or high five builds bridges. Builds bridges. Now, teachers, do daily check-ins with students. Use class circles or journal writing or class meeting. It is important. I cannot talk to you about class meeting, but if Man will put that as one of the talks, class meetings, very important. It will solve a lot of problems in school and in your classroom. Again, so rules without relationships breed rebellion. You know what we should avoid? We should avoid the students to just be compliant. And many of our students are fearful of they fear going against the rule because of the punishment. So therefore the motivation is not because they want to be good, but the motivation is because I'm scared of getting punished. Therefore, pag nawala na sila sa school nyo, nagwawala na sila. Yay! Tapos na ang school. Magwawala na. Okay? So let's go to the next one. Intrinsic motivation. And related to the first one, rules without relationship build rebellion. So what is important? The goal is not to control the children. Don't control them, but to help them own their choices. Intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. That's why I put here in the next slide, to reward or not to reward. Therefore, huwag na tayo mag-reward. Huwag na tayo mag-reward. I'm not saying that. I'm not even going to say, stop the medals, don't give awards, don't give. No. Those are necessary, those are needed. But then if those are the only things that the students get, and they don't get any more than the extrinsic, you don't make them reflect, you don't make them understand why they are succeeding, and it's because of the practice of the virtue or good habits, you're marami tayong namimiss. Therefore, using the prime lens of intrinsic motivation without integration of virtues, if the students will just learn the subject matter, but without values, okay, the virtues now will stay very superficial. So kids learn to act one way in public and another in private. So one way in public and another way in private. But if the home and school will speak together will speak different moral languages, the child becomes confused, compartmentalized. So I remember a high school student I know, he said, I'm expected to be polite in school, but at home, no one even says sorry. So I will not be polite. So what is the key point there? That character education must be consistent across the environments. Kids copy what's lived, not what is lectured. Again, they copied what is lived and not what is lectured. Okay, as contrast to a student who helps in the classroom, you can see that slide of a student helping the classroom. The teacher will say, I will give you a star. Is that wrong? No, no. But you cannot keep on giving the student a star every time he cleans the classroom. Therefore, the motivation is going to be the star. Another time, that same student can actually just be told, that was very thoughtful of you. Our class feels better when we help each other. And then don't give a star. So make the student understand that material rewards are, are not necessarily needed all the time. But what is important is that you make other people happy because of the good thing that you've done. So use reflection tools like Virtue Journal. Let the students reflect on classroom decisions and consequences. For example, if every day the teachers complain about the class being the classroom being messy, etc., then call the class and say, okay, let's sit down. Let's write down, why is our classroom always dirty? Let's discuss. Let's listen to each other and then find a solution. Now that is that is intrinsic motivation. Now another way is the virtue jar. Sorry, not the virtue jar. The virtue jar. The virtue jar. That's every time a member of the family. You can do this at home or in the classroom. If a family member or a class member does something good, it is written down, okay, and then it is read aloud every before the end of the week, maybe on the last day, Friday, but without the name, without the name, okay. So now let's go to letter M, modeling. Children may fail to listen to what we say, but they rarely fail to imitate what we do. I have 12 more minutes. I have to hurry up. Now look at this picture. There is a story of a father driving home, gets cut off in traffic and yells. And you know what his son said? His son in the back seat says, I thought you said we should be patient. Okay. Now at home, what can we do? Let us admit mistakes. We say sorry. Model humility. Show how you solve problems. You show perseverance. You show kindness. Now, inside the school, in the classroom, a student witnesses the teacher, a student witness a teacher apologizing to a janitor for forgetting to greet him. Imagine that. The teacher went to the janitor and said, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to greet you when I saw you this morning. So she later on wrote in this journal, today I learned that being a good person means saying sorry. Diba? So what is the challenge? What we do in ordinary moments teaches more than formal lectures. At school, teachers should share teachers should share personal stories of virtue. How do you handle conflict with students? How do you handle it? Do you handle it respectfully or not? Children become what they consistently see modeled. Let's go now to the letter E, where empowerment. We don't just form them, we invite them to build the home and classroom they deserve. Okay, so that means empowerment, involving the students in classroom activities and affairs. So some ideas at home. Assign your child to lead the family prayer or meal blessing, or let him decide on a weekend service project that you would want to have. Or you let the children lead family prayer or virtue discussion. Give them responsibilities and then discuss why there is a need for them to do it and succeed in it. In school, the student should also be given the opportunity to lead outreach activities or formative or formation activities. The classroom norms can also be discussed and made collaboratively by the students and the teachers. I remember when I was principal of the grade school, a class was allowed to choose the advocacy they'd support for a project. So the grade six class went to the home of the retired nuns in Sukat, the Daughters of Charity. So they chose the home of the retired nuns. They went there. They fed the old nuns. They wheeled them out, and now this student-led activities allow them also to become responsible. Okay, so let us remember that children rise to the level of trust we give them. If we give them the trust, of course they'll fail. Of course, maybe they'll fumble, but that's okay. Our children will fumble, and that's okay. Walang problema yan. Didn't we commit mistakes we also? And because of those mistakes, we learned how to do things better. Let's go to the last one. Developmental pedagogy. Character formation must match their stage of growth. What does that mean? Always consider that the home is the extension and modeled and developmental. The approach has to be developmental. Look at this. The grade schoolers, for example, they learn through action and repetition. At home, they should be given chores to do. Okay? What are the chores? Of course, if they're still kids, you can fold their clothes. That's already something. But if the boy is already a teenager, pwede na siya maglinis ng kotse, magtapon ng basura. Okay? Maybe a teenage girl could also take care of the laundry. Yeah? So what is important is that there should be concrete actions, chores, in charge of prayer, apologizing. So they also learn manners at home. Manners are very important because the manners are like the ABC of the virtue. Okay, so if you look at A, B, C separately, they don't actually mean anything. But if you put them together, they form words. So manners are also the same way. Okay, manners are maybe simple, but then when you put them together, they can be the source of virtue. They become what they repeatedly do. So, so the teenager now will ask, uh, if the if the pedagogy has to be developmentally done, then with the high schoolers, they should be asked questions such as, what would you do, or what would you have done if you were in the teacher's place? Or moral reasoning. Let them debate. That's okay. Let them write their reflection, form opinions, address peer pressure, media, friendship more directly. Okay? I remember there was this one, I have there was this one teenager who admitted to his mom that he lied. Instead of punishment, the mom asked, what do you think this does to our trust? How do you plan to rebuild it? That's very good. So instead of sanctioning the boy or giving him this, the boy was the child was asked to reflect. Okay, so what's a value you want our family to live out together? That's another question. Okay, so partnership in practice. A home without school support is weak. A school without the home's backing is helpless. But together, we're powerful. School and home must speak the same moral language. So these are examples of joint actions for teachers. You integrate virtues in daily class routines, have class check-ins, I already mentioned that, share personal stories, send a brief virtue update to parents, let students own their class values and virtues. For parents, Post virtue of the month at home on the refrigerator, I said, create a formation habit, model apologies, uh, meet regularly with your child's teacher. Now, this is where the home and school can collaborate. You will not know how your child is doing in school if you don't go to school. Now, I pity the school who only that calls the parents because there is a PTA, and then what they are going to talk about is not about the character of the students, but to donate an electric fan or a curtain or I don't know, or because there is no door of the mas importante sa electric fan. Ang importante, education, importante, formation ng bata. Okay? So some additional joint actions, consistent virtue focus each month, parent-teacher chat, family meetings are also important, especially uh, over during middle of the year. You can sit down and review some goals that you set at the start of the year. One-on-one chats are also important. In our school, we have a quarterly, what we call parents forum. We invite a speaker to talk about a parenting issue, and which is discussed on a per level basis. Therefore, I'd like to let you know, gentlemen, that and ladies, that the most powerful classroom is the one with no walls, and that classroom is called the home. Now, look at that picture. Look at that picture. Every day, our children walk between two worlds. Now, let's make sure that both the classroom and the home are echoing the same virtues, the same hopes, the same dreams for who they are meant to become. My final challenge for you, every day, our children walk between two worlds, di ba? So, the same dream for who they are meant to become. When the bell rings, the school day ends, but the formation continues. If home and school speak the same language of love, respect, and virtue, again, love, respect, and virtue, then we will build not just achievers, but saints. Again, saints, leaders, and men of integrity. Saints, leaders, and men and women of integrity. Now look at that, the pottery maker. There are two hands. Those two hands, well, a potter cannot make a beautiful pot or vase if he only has one hand. He will have a difficult time. But with two hands, he can actually produce beautiful works of art. Now, those two hands are the school and the home. Okay? So before we close, I want to thank each one of you. Your presence here, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or both, is a very powerful sign that you care, not just about raising bright minds, but also about shaping good hearts. I have a reflection point here. If you want to take note of it, think of one child, your student, or your son, or your daughter. What is one virtue that he needs most right now? And what can you do to start to what can you do starting today to help form that in them? Okay. I was going to ask you to unmute your microphone and then just say this, no? But I will not do that because I have 2 more minutes. But I want all of us to declare. You don't have to unmute your microphone. Just say it with me. Together, as parents and teachers, we commit to raising not just successful students, but virtuous individuals. We believe formation is a shared mission. And when the bell rings, we are ready to continue the work at home with love, with purpose, and with faith. Thank you for being partners in this mission. The bell may ring, but our work of love goes on. May our homes be strong extensions of every lesson taught with heart. God bless you all, and maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Thank you so much, Mr. Salamat. Um, the link to claim the certificate is already posted in the chat box. Please click on the link